In a previous video, we reviewed some of the high-level features of the optical Zone U J3U chassis. In this video, we're going to concentrate on a couple of the newer cards within the chassis, and those are the diversity or the redundancy cards. These are both optical and RF, and the RF can be 50 ohm or 75 ohm. So there are various configurations of these. The basic building blocks of all of these cards at the very basic level are 1x2 splitters, and those are both optical and RF. In my diagrams up here, green is RF and blue is optical. So we have splitters. We also have 2-to-1 switches, AB switches, switching between two inputs to one output, both optical and RF. We have 2x2 switches, which essentially have two states, straight through or switching two inputs to two outputs. We have both optical and RF again. And then a larger building block combines several of these. One is the OTB, and we'll show that, and the ORB, and we'll show how those are used in a couple of basic redundancy architectures. So redundancy can be built into the system on both the optical and RF level. I've shown a couple of examples here. In the simplest example, we're simply doing redundant fiber. So neither the transmitter or the fiber optic receiver are protected in this case. We're just offering a diversity of paths and essentially just using a couple of basic optical switches. So this is 1x1 redundancy in the fiber. We could also, although it's not shown on this diagram, we could have a transmitter, an additional transmitter to receiver link, and switch between those and do our diversity in the RF domain essentially. In addition to one-to-one switching diversity or redundancy, we also provide a combination of cards for doing N+1 redundancy. So essentially perhaps 4 links and 1 redundant that will kick in, or 8 links and 1 redundant that will kick in. So and the case shown here is a simple case of N+1 redundancy where N is 2. So essentially I have 2 fiber optic links, transmitter to fiber optic receiver, and then 1 spare transmitter and 1 spare receiver. So in this case, either one of these transmitters can fail and my 1 spare transmitter can kick in and take its place. Likewise, on the receiver side, one of these receivers can fail and the spare receiver will kick in and take the place of the failed receiver. So essentially, if I can follow my drawing here very quickly, if this first transmitter were to fail, then, well, if no transmitter fails, I just go straight through, transmitter to receiver. If this transmitter were to fail, then this transmitter would keep going straight through. However, this transmitter would switch like this to this input and take this transmitter's place. Likewise, if this transmitter were to fail, this transmitter to receiver would still go straight through. This path would be interrupted. However, the spare transmitter would switch in. This crossover switch would switch so that I'm switching into the rest of the chain here and complete the link with the spare transmitter. And a similar argument can be made for the receiver failure. So that's a basic overview of the building blocks of the RF and optical redundancy modules of the J3U chassis. Thank you for watching.